and another effective one. Matthew breaks a tackle, breaks another, gets a block. There are no flags and the race is on. And Matthew goes 90.
Burrow with the snap. Here comes the blitz. Burrow steps away from it, throws, catch made! Justin Jefferson has it at the 38, racing down the far line, sideline, 10-5, touchdown Tigers!
Another play fake by Burrow, and a deep strike, and an open receiver, Jamar Chase, another touchdown!
Daniels pulls it, takes it himself, he's got the sideline! Jane Daniels off to the races! And a bang back inside, he takes it to the house! 85 yards for Daniel!
Go ahead and say it, Ed.
Go Tigers!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another edition of the Gold Standard Podcast. I am your host, Doe. This is your number one spot for LSU news, updates, and unsolicited comments from your boy. Ladies and gentlemen, your boy has been trying to tell you all season, choo, choo, choo. The Lane train is in effect. The Portal King, all hail the Portal King, who has come to sit on his throne. Mr. Lane Kiffin, thank you for bringing the juice back to the LSU fan base. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get going, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notification button and turn on the notifications so you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes here at the Gold Standard Podcast, where we love purple, but it is all gold, baby. All right, let's get to it. Man, the transfer portal is officially closing on Friday, and LSU has been the talk of the town for obvious reasons. I told you guys when the transfer portal opened and we were 72 hours in and people were panicking all everywhere and freaking out about, we don't have quarterbacks, we don't have offensive line, we don't have this, we don't have that. Ladies and gentlemen, I've told you before, you have the undisputed heavyweight champion of the portal, Lane Kiffin, who has been in the top 5 of the transfer portal rankings at Ole Miss the last 3 seasons, including one season where he was the number 1 overall transfer portal class. Now he's come to LSU, who has been rejuvenated, who has opened up the checkbook, who wants to make a statement along with him. Ladies and gentlemen, I had negative worries. Negative 300% worries is where I was, because I knew Lane was going to do what he always does. He just has more money, better facilities, and upgraded all over to do it with, you know? So I'm glad you guys are feeling a little bit better now, because in the beginning, we had some fans that were very, very, very shaky. Again, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe button. Make sure you turn on your notifications so you don't miss any of the upcoming episodes or any transfer portal news from your boy. All right. Let's talk about LSU's transfer portal class. They are pushing upwards. I think by the time this class ends, they're going to be pushing 30, 35, maybe, but definitely over the 30s. So I'm going to run through all the commits very quickly to try to catch you guys up. Look, there's a lot to keep up with. By the time you hear this, I'm sure it will be outdated. LSU will have more commits by the time this touches your ear. By the time that you see this with your eyes, LSU will have more commits. I guarantee. Charles Barkley, guarantee that. All right. So let's see what we got. All right. The commitments are as follows. Quarterback, jewel of the class, Sam Leavitt, who's a 5-star. This is going to be on 3 transfer portal rankings. Sam Leavitt, who's ranked as a 5-star, number 1 overall, number 1 quarterback. Husan Longstreet, quarterback out of USC, 94 4-star, number 20 overall, number 7 quarterback. J.C. Brown, a wide receiver out of Kansas State, 92 4-star, number 41 overall, number 10 wide receiver. Trey Wilson, a 92 4-star, number 47 overall, number 11 wide receiver. Jordan Ross, an edge out of Tennessee, 91 4-star, number 72 overall, number 9 edge. Steph Green, who's a 91 4-star overall, number 81 overall ranked, and number 6 defensive lineman. Ty Benefield out of Boise State, who's the number 95 overall player, ranked a 91 4-star, and the number 9 safety. And then Trey Brown, wide receiver out of Old Dominion, ranked a 93-star, number 102 overall, number 23 wide receiver. Winnie Watkins Jr. out of Ole Miss. I thought players didn't want to come and play with Lane Kiffin. We'll talk about that later. Winnie Watkins, who's a 93-star, number 118 overall, number 25 wide receiver. Jackson Harris, a stud, I think, out of Hawaii, who's going to be an impact player for you next season, in my opinion. He's a 93-star, number 141 overall, number 30 wide receiver. Malik Blockton, defensive lineman out of Auburn, 89 3-star overall, 170 and 17th defensive lineman. Dylan Jones, running back out of Wisconsin. If you have not seen his film, I urge you to go watch him. He is a tough, hard-nosed runner, and he has some juice. He's an 88 3-star, ranked number 361 overall, number 34 running back. It's guys like this that I'm telling you that'll make an impact on the season that aren't highly ranked. But that's what you get when you get an evaluator like Lane Kiffin, Charlie Weiss, Dane Stevens, and the crew. They know what they're looking at. Look at Ole Miss this year. You didn't know who Keywan Lacey was. You didn't know who Trinidad Chandler was. You didn't know who Deuce Alexander was. Stribling, you didn't know who he was. Harrison Wallace, you didn't know who he was. I promise you didn't know who any of these guys were. Daquan Wright, who's an awesome tight end, you didn't know who he was last year. Let's see. Darren Stray, who's an offensive lineman out of Kentucky. He's an 88 3-star overall, number 404 overall, number 28 offensive lineman. Malachi Thomas, tight end out of Pittsburgh, we've talked about a lot. 87 3-star, number 408 overall, and number 24 tight end. Malik Elzy is a wide receiver out of Illinois, an 87 3-star, number 494 overall, number 77 wide receiver. Jalen Brown, the edge out of South Carolina, who's an 87 3-star, number 731 overall, number 67 edge. William Satterfield, inside lineman out of Tennessee, who's an 87 3-star, number 739 overall, number 66 inside offensive lineman. Tyree Holloway, wide receiver out of West Florida, is an 85 3-star, number 727 overall, number 129 wide receiver, and that's per 24/7. Jaquan Sprinkle, who's an offensive lineman out of North Carolina Central. He's an 86 3-star, number 770 overall, number 49 inside offensive lineman, and that's also per 24/7. One of my boys, Landen Clark, 86 3-star, 815 overall, number 55 quarterback. Guys, I can assure you there are not 54 quarterbacks in the transfer portal more talented than Landen Clark, I assure you. Racine Guillory, running back out of Utah, 86 3-star, 935 overall, number 86 running back. Achilles Woods, a defensive lineman out of South Alabama. Shout out South Alabama, down in my area. He's an 85 3-star, number 1,344 overall, and the number 124 defensive lineman according to 24/7. Rod Gainey, running back out of Charlotte, is an 85 3-star, 1706 overall, number 152 running back. Josh Jackson, another wide receiver out of McNeese, 84 3-star, 1782 overall, number 271 wide receiver. Roman Mothershed, 6'5" wide receiver out of Troy. He's an 84 3-star, 2106 overall, and the number 316 wide receiver. Hayden Craig, who's not ranked as a punter out of Florida. Scott Starzik, who's not ranked as a kicker out of Arkansas. And long snapper Mac Mulhern out of Florida, who's not rated. And then LSU also got a recent commit from Zach Grace, who's a tight end H-back out of Oregon, and he's also not ranked. And then from the JUCO ranks, LSU has offensive lineman Jacoby Jones, who's out of Colin from Last Chance U. 87 3-star, number 57 overall, number 2 inside offensive lineman per JUCO rankings. A lot of bodies, but you needed a lot of bodies because LSU needed to rebuild the offensive room. We talked about that ad nauseum. This was a total rebuild from the ground up, and it was much needed. And then, so we're going to talk about some guys that are also linked to LSU, a few guys who I think will be in the class by the time you see this video, and maybe by the time this hits, a lot of these guys will officially be in the portal boat. So Jordan Seaton, who's the big offensive tackle, number 1 offensive tackle overall out of Colorado. There are visits being set up for him to be on LSU's campus this weekend. Reports early when he hopped in the portal was that Texas was going to be a huge player, and Texas ended up getting a offensive tackle out of Wake Forest. So all the reports are saying that this one may come down to a LSU versus Oregon battle. He's going to be very expensive. He's the best offensive tackle in the portal by far. By most accounts, a future first-round pick. So he will get paid handsomely, whoever pays him. Does LSU step up and make a statement and say, we're not playing, we're here to stay? I wouldn't put it past Lane Kiffin, but he's going to be, other than Sam Leavitt, if you get him, he's going to be your most expensive player in the portal. And for good reason. Offensive tackles are hard to find. We've talked about it before. Not a lot of them exist even in – not a lot of them even exist in the NFL. So especially on the college level, when you have a good one, that's a potential, and that's a future first-round pick, and that you can see, he's going to get paid accordingly, and he's going to get paid handsomely. Like I said, visits are set up for him to be on campus this weekend. That's when I'd like to see LSU close, but if they don't, I won't be mad. He's going to be very, very expensive. He would drastically, again, raise the ceiling. If you got Sam Leavitt, you got him, who kind of makes all the other pieces fall into place with the receivers, with the running backs, and Caden Durham, with Tre'Davious Green in the tight end room now. I mean, you're cooking with grease, man. You really are cooking with grease. Tigers are also linked to Devin Harper, offensive lineman out of Ole Miss, who's from the state of Louisiana, was top 150 player in last year's recruiting class. He's ranked as a 91 4-star, number 94 overall, number 4 inside offensive lineman. And I think he's one that the Tigers will close. Jordan Seaton is a 4-star, 97 4-star, number 4 overall, and number 1 offensive tackle. Here's a familiar name for Tiger fans, Fahim Delane. Yes, he is the brother of All-American LSU cornerback Mansour Delane. The Tigers recruited him heavily out of high school. He ended up going to Ohio State. He hopped in the portal recently, and the Tigers look to be the team to beat. I think Pete Nakos and a few others have led the charge by putting a prediction in for the Tigers to land Mansour Delane's little bro, who'll be a much, much appreciated athletic safety in that safety room. He's a 91 4-star, number 100 overall, and the number 10 safety in the transfer portal. Alu Ba is an inside offensive lineman out of Maryland. He's a 93-star, ranked number 179 overall. The number 13 inside offensive lineman. He's currently on LSU's campus as of this recording, so we'll see what happens there. Another one I think trends the Tigers' way is TJ Daugherty, linebacker out of Ole Miss, who was Ole Miss's defensive captain this season. 132 tackles, I think I saw, or something crazy like that the last couple of years combined. He's a tackling machine, athletic, will be a nice piece to add alongside Weeks. Ryan Staub was talked about as a quarterback out of Colorado. I think you're past that. Andy Jean was on LSU's campus on Thursday. He's a wide receiver out of Arkansas. He's a 86 3-star. He's 1407 overall, number 202 wide receiver. Evan Shika out of New Haven as an 85 3-star, 1501 overall, number 81 tight end. I think that one is kind of out of the question too with the new commit from Oregon. Sterling Burkhalter out of Wake Forest, 86 3-star, 1689 overall, 242 wide receiver, who was on LSU's campus today on Thursday. And another one that seems to be trending LSU's way is Sean Tompkins. He's an offensive lineman out of Baylor, who's an offensive tackle, who's an 85 3-star rated, number 1,745 overall, and the number 144 inside offensive lineman, but he is a tackle. He would play tackle. And there's a couple other targets that have been thrown around. Talik Lockett out of Texas State, who's a really good offensive lineman. Ethan Fields at Ole Miss is a backup guy from Louisiana. And then another big one that entered the portal right before I jumped on and recorded this, Ole Miss's leading pass rush defender, Princewell Uman Melian. I know I messed that up, but Princewell U, the edge out of Ole Miss. He's not ready yet, but I'm sure he'll be one of the top 10 players in the portal. Got 9 sacks in the SEC this season. So I think those Ole Miss players are going to be yours to lose. Good to see them burn. Good to see them crash and burn. They've been talking a lot of stuff about players don't want to go and follow Lane Kiffin and they won't follow him. Well, most of your great players are in the portal. Besides Chambliss and Lacey, a lot of the other ones are in the portal. They have retained some offensive linemen. I know that one guy was really good out of Michigan. I can't remember his name, but he hopped in and got back out. Delano Townsend, that's it. He's really good. And they got some other pieces. They got their wide receivers, everybody but Winnie. But I think they weren't expecting to lose their defensive captain and TJ Daugherty. I don't think they were expecting to lose Princewell Yu, their leading sack getter. Those are big losses for Ole Miss, especially if they trend where they're trending now and they come to LSU. But more on what this episode was about. Lane Kiffin has transformed LSU into having the best possibly quarterback room in the entire country. As you know, LSU has secured a commitment and a signature from Sam Leavitt, who's the number 1 quarterback in the transfer portal. He also secured the signature of Husan Longstreet, 5-star out of USC. For perspective, it's 5-star in the same class with Bryce Underwood. And we know how that ended. Husan committed, signed with the Tigers. And also my boy Landen Clark, who's Mr. Dynamite himself, also signed, committed to LSU. So LSU has gone from in 2 weeks to having no scholarship quarterbacks on the roster to quite possibly the best quarterback room in the country. And how does something like this happen? My dad texted me and asked me, he said, man, how is Lane, how did he pull that off? Or how would he pull that off? And I said, players recognize what Lane Kiffin is known for. Every stop he's been, you can say what you want about who he is, his character. If you don't like him, whatever it may be, that's fine. It's your opinion. But one thing you cannot objectively say is that Lane Kiffin, offense, quarterback, bad at any point in time. This is someone who had Blake Sims, who was a running back, as a top-tier quarterback in the SEC. Somebody like Jay Coker, who was not that talented as a great quarterback in the SEC. So like I said, I was never, ever worried about Lane's ability to show, hey, look what I've done all the way back to being the offensive coordinator at USC with those dynamic offenses. I knew that wasn't going to be a problem, but for him to be as gangster as he has, and we talked about it in the last episode, how gangster he is. Real G's moving silence like lasagna. Go ahead, Lane. But, he made this quite possibly the most impressive quarterback room in the entire country. And I think a lot of it is because Lane is honest with kids. I'm sure he said, you know what, Husan, and you know what, Landen, Sam is my number 1 guy. He's going to be my number 1 guy. But if you two come in and you guys compete, you guys have a chance to make this a competition, because Sam's going to miss the spring, which means Husan and Landen, they're going to have all the snaps in the spring. They're going to get them all in the spring, possibly summer. And that's just very, very useful to say, hey, I got first-team snaps at LSU at quarterback with all the talent, we got a new scheme, we got new coaches. So you just never know what will happen with all 3 of those guys, especially Husan and Landen, just competing and letting the best kind of win. And now Lane getting this quarterback room not only sets you up for success in year 1 because you have Sam Leavitt who raises the floor, but now we're talking about in the future, LSU's quarterback room is solved. You'll have Longstreet or Clark. I think whoever's the number 2 will be obviously the number 1 next year. You just never know. But I don't think you're going to have to go through this again where you're trying to go get one of the top quarterbacks out of the portal next season. You already have a guy you feel comfortable with on the roster, in the facility, in the playbook, in the scheme for an entire year that'll be ready to take over next year. So not only does this raise the floor for this season, but for next season and beyond, LSU's quarterback room is in a much better place than it has ever been. Seriously, in my opinion, ever been. dual threat guys. All three of these guys are dual threat guys. Sam is athletic, man. You just don't know what he's going to be after the injury, but I'm just trying to give you an idea. Sam is athletic. He's got a big arm, not quite as big as Landen or Husan. I think they may have more arm strength, but obviously Sam's got more experience. Doesn't matter how athletic he is. The key with Sam is just to get him healthy. If he's healthy, he'll be a potential first-round pick at quarterback. With Husan, I think you got a dynamic athlete. You got somebody that's got a huge arm. He's one of those guys where you can kind of look back 10 years from now and maybe say he has the most potential out of anybody in the room, just naturally gifted abilities and gifts that he's blessed with that not a lot of people have. He can make every throw. He's accurate. He's got that ability to run. He's tough. I saw him put his head down on a few plays, run through some guys at USC. He's definitely a very, very potential sort of, man, this guy could possibly be one of those dudes down the line. And then Landen Clark, I've gushed over Landen Clark for about a week now. Just go and turn on his film and watch his film and tell me this guy just doesn't breed LSU. He just looks like swag in LSU. He looks like he should play with a grill in. He just looks like a guy that we want at quarterback for LSU. So Lane has taken that room from basically nothing, from literally nothing, not having a guy in the room, to having three guys and having a big time difference maker in Sam Leavitt and a couple of guys that are going to be, one of them is going to be the quarterback of the future, whether it's Longstreet, whether it's Clark. One of those guys will be the quarterback of the future. And I think Tiger fans, you can be happy with either one of those guys as a future quarterback for LSU. And another thing that I want to talk briefly about is, you know what? I was going to address some Ole Miss fans, but I'm not even going to give you guys the energy or the time of the day. I'm not going to give you guys the energy or the time of day on my platform to even discuss, because I think a lot of the things that are out there just stupid and just idiocy and don't even make sense coming from their side. So I'm not even going to address that crap or give them the light of day on my platform. So there you go. But Tiger fans, you should be feeling good as the portal comes to an end. Wrapping up here, the transfer portal king has done it again. LSU will end with the number one class in the transfer portal class because of the guys that they still have left on the board. I think they get Prince Will Yu. I think they get Devin Harper. I think they get TJ Daughtery. I think they get possibly Sean Tompkins. And who knows what happens with Jordan Seaton. But if you pull off him, you for sure will have some high expectations coming in the next season, and deservedly so. If you can get a future first-round pick at left tackle, future first-round pick, if he plays well and he's injured, the injuries aren't concerned with Sam Leavitt, this offense now becomes one of the most potent ones potentially, especially with what you have at receiver, what you have with Tre'Davious Green, what you have with Caden Durham and Harlem Berry and whoever else they add in that room. So Tiger fans, you should be happy. You should be, if you weren't excited already, this should get you more excited because the Tigers are here to come. They're here to stay. Pause. I said the Tigers are here to come. Pause. The Tigers are here to stay. Lane has made it a mission and will continue to make it a mission to show why he left Ole Miss to come to LSU. Ole Miss making it as far as they did is only going to motivate him to get that far and further in year one. I think that's lofty praise to try to get in the Final Four year one with an entire rebuild on one side of the ball. It's just tough bringing it all together and all of it meshing well enough to work. But all of it just meshed well enough to work at Ole Miss this year, so we've seen him do it. And the defense is going to be much better at LSU than what it was at Ole Miss, so the Tigers will have a chance. You still have to put it all together. You don't win any championships on paper, but just an amazing, amazing job. As the portal closes and we kind of get closer to the end, I'll come back and we'll do overall grades. We'll go by position group, offense, defense. But as of now, I think you have to be pleased as a fan with what we've gotten out of the portal, the bodies that we've gotten a lot of depth. We've gotten some impact guys at certain positions. I mean, I think guys like Sam Leavitt, I think guys like Jordan Ross is going to be huge for this defense. Ty Benefield is going to be huge for this defense. The deep tackles, Blockton and Green out of Clemson, are going to be huge for this defense. If you get Princewell, you got a solidified pass rusher that's going to be huge for this defense. Fahim Delane is going to add another body in the secondary and allow you to move a lot of pieces around. So this defense is going to be legit next year, and they were legit this year. So look, Tiger fans, get excited, get fanatical. The Lane train is here to stay. Chew. All hail the Portal King. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. This has been another edition of the Gold Standard Podcast with your host, Doe. Thank you so much for your time. I told you before, we love purple, but it is all gold, baby. Make sure you tell them people to like, subscribe, hit that smash that like button. Please smash it for me. Hit that subscribe button. Jump down in the comments and let me know how you feeling about the transfer portal class. How do you feel about the Portal King? Are you relaxed now? Does it make you feel better about how we sit going in the next season? And ladies and gentlemen, we love everything that everybody that's watched and has done for this podcast and this channel. Thank you so much. We reached 200 subscribers. Continue to push this podcast out, push this channel out, share it with your friends, share it with your loved ones, share it with whoever. Make sure you show up. I'm going to at least do this 2-3 episodes a week. Make sure you guys keep showing up. I'm going to keep pushing out content on you. We're going to continue to do new and crazy things. We're going to try things. We're going to have some guests coming up. We got it all lined up. So you guys make sure you stay locked in with the Gold Standard Podcast for your number one place for LSU news, updates, and unsolicited comments from your boy. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend. God bless the Portal King, Lane Kiffin, and God bless you. And tell him I said to play neck. Peace.